how to change your life and how to build the life you actually desire and you always had a vision for it. Well, if it was only that easy to create the life we wanted, wouldn't it be great that there would be no more of feeling anxiety, no more of feeling not belonging, or not no more feeling of that, that's it, or what should I do next? But just being your authentic self and just do the things that you love to do. Hi, my name is Helia Singh. I'm a wealth coach, and today, part of our new series of podcasts, which we're talking to female coaches out there, I am honored to bring you a very special coach to your attention, and her name is Kristy Davis. She is actually by a profession, she is a musician, but she has turned her life around. And that's why now she's in the mission to help you to turn your life around. And so finally, you can feel happy and joy. And then you just do what you love to do. So that's why we want to talk to Kristy. Thank you, Kristy. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Appreciate it. Oh, I forgot to ask you before we start the record button.
Yes.
Where are you based?
Oh, I am based in Newcastle, Australia.
Oh, it's beautiful, Newcastle. I
It
used to live in
is.
Sydney.
Oh, yes. Well,
Yeah.
technically, I'm in Lake Macquarie, which is just
Oh,
before. Yeah,
yes,
even closer to Sydney.
yes, that's right.
It is beautiful. I love it here. Love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. My past life, I used to live in Sydney, and I love
It's
it.
fast, very
Yeah,
fast paced.
yeah. Really appreciate it. Oh, it's great. So I'm so amazed by your story,
Thank
especially as
you.
a person who's been labeled ADHD until
Mm.
recently, that you turn your life around. It's amazing. I think that's just going to defy the whole science that, oh, you are labeled this and that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But you broke that
and
box.
and that is my message. I honestly say, because I will be sharing a lot of my story, I say if I can do it, I truly believe anybody can, because some of the stories that I share, you just think, really did that happen? Was that who you really were? And sadly for me to look back, it is, but I've gained so much value from who I was to who I am now. And I just want to share that with people. I want to bridge that gap between thinking, okay, well, you can do it and I can't, by showing people and sharing my story and going, look, it was here and we can bring it here. So yeah, I want to bridge that gap, make people, well, not make people understand, but help people understand that you can absolutely do anything you want in life, but you can certainly make changes, and we're all
That's great. It
Mm.
is. It's amazing. I love the mission you have
Yeah.
because I think how to be happy is one of the top search on Google's because we see
Mm.
that people who are even highly educated or even they've got all the means in their life or they're financially
Mm.
well, but still they don't feel the joy, they don't feel the
Mm.
happiness, and they always
Doesn't
think that
come
there must be
from
something else.
doesn't come from the outside.
Oh
Doesn't come from the
gosh.
outside. Comes from the inside, building that habit. So it's a habit building thing. You have to have a habit of feeling happy. It's yeah. I wish we were all just born with that. If we were, we would all just be walking around pretty happy with life, instead of looking for what's going to make us happy, when the answer is actually just here, and building a habit of
Yeah.
being grateful and understanding what happiness is. Yeah.
And this has been one of the actually best kept secret. So that
Yes.
they don't want us to know that that's
No.
easy to become,
No.
happy and attract the things that we love. And
Absolutely. I
yeah,
think I think that secret is starting to come out a bit, and I think we're starting to bridge that gap, between science and manifestation and magic and woo, and understanding that, hang on, maybe there is something to this whole universe and the vibrations and the way it works and what we attract. And I think that through personal development, that's becoming very popular, which is fantastic. And I think, yeah, we're moving closer to understanding how to generate the life that we want.
mhm. Wow. Amazing. So please share with us your story. So
Yeah.
that it is, because I know we're just going to get only inspiration more and then see that, okay, if it's possible, and I'm sure you did a great job to turn around your life, so that
A
it
lot
can
of
only
work.
help others. So please tell
Yeah.
us more.
Yes, it's kind of like a fun game for me now. Every day I just work on aspects of my life that I want to improve. But I started out young and happy and confident, so much so that I was at like the state level of debating in primary school. And then my life kind of turned upside down and I lived quite a traumatic childhood from there on, quite abusive, which was quite difficult. And then from there, I had also experienced bullying at school, mostly because I was that singer. So I'd always sang. And for some reason, it's cool at school now, but it was not when I was at school. So, I'd experienced that bullying as well. And then when I was about 19, I remember giving a speech, which I'd done a million times, but I was giving one for TAFE. I was studying community services at the time. And it was the first time I felt anxiety. I'd never felt that. And my heart started pounding, my face went red, and my chest started getting tight, and my throat muscles wouldn't relax. And I was like bright red and I couldn't speak. And I'm like, what is this? I didn't know what it was. It was the first day of the next 12 years of anxiety and depression. So my life had kind of caught up with me. My childhood had caught up with me. And then I was kind of lost, didn't know what to do, became a young single, not single at the time, a young mum. I was with their dad from, when I was 16, so still at school. And so I had my first son when I was 21, and then I had my daughter about 18 months after. And I was disorganized. I couldn't function. I didn't want to get up in the morning. Like, it's 11 a.m., go back to bed, please. Mum wants to sleep. Couldn't keep my house tidy. Like, I literally didn't do the dishes for 4 and 5 days at a time. So I was just a mess. I used to feel lazy and like I was failing. I now see that it was more than that, and it wasn't where I was placing my value. So I had this trouble functioning, and then my marriage ended, and I had these 2 little kids by myself. I'm like, holy crap. So, then it was that struggle of trying to get them to school. And for some reason, didn't matter how much I tried, I couldn't get to an appointment. My executive functions were broken. And I didn't know that at the time. I had no idea. Especially because when I was much younger, I was doing well, but then that trauma actually really covered the fact that I had ADHD at the time, which I've only just found out last year. So from being a young single mum, I moved on to trying to get my life together. And it still just wasn't working. I'm like, this is just, it's so tiring. And my kids, I assume it's because of the type of parent I was, but as well as my daughter has ADHD. That should have been a giveaway for me. But they were very difficult children. So, and I love them to death. And, I'm homeschooling my daughter now, but they were really difficult, like to the nth degree. I was lucky they slept all through the night, but just my daughter was just, I knew from day one she had ADHD. So yeah, we kind of tried to get through that, and then I met my husband now, and that wasn't that long after, and he was really great with organization, so that kind of gave me a bit of room to breathe. And I was still unorganized, disorganized. I couldn't find pens to do my work. Didn't have my tax done, just could not get my shit together. And eventually I was scrubbing the bathroom floor of a house that I'm renting, actually this house that I'm renting now. And I was just like scrubbing because I had spilled something and I didn't feel like doing that. And it hit me. It's like, I am never gonna own my house. I'm going to be scrubbing somebody else's floor forever because I don't make any money. I don't have the singing career that I thought I would have. Like, a couple of my friends that I grew up with have this really successful music career, and I've got nothing. Like, I'm not a good mum. I miss half of the appointments for my kids. They miss out on excursions because they didn't get the notes out of their bags. Like, I am failing at life, and that's how I felt. And it was my rock bottom moment, and I bawled and I bawled and I bawled and I bawled until I couldn't cry anymore. And I went out and got my diary, and I'm like, that is it. I am not taking this shit another day. And something in me that day, and I now know it to be committing. I now know that that was the day that I committed, fully committed, and optimized my brain to make sure that I could follow that. So from there, every single day, I have just kind of broken down parts of my life that I want to be better at and that I want to do well at. And yesterday, actually, we got an email on our start date for building our dream home. So we've gone from literally having nothing. I lost my house in my divorce. My husband came with just his CDs and his car. So I had some secondhand furniture. We started with nothing, and 5 bedrooms. He's got his studio. I've got my office, 2-story beautiful home that we're both doing on a self-employed income of being a musician.
Wow.
Both musicians. So I was determined to make that happen. I didn't know that we'd be so blessed to have such a beautiful home to build. But and every single day, I just monitor and have really heightened my self-awareness, and I'm going, what can I do? And then I got to having a very successful music career, like lots of success with songwriting, Australian Songwriting Awards, even Australian Business Awards. I've been on TV, like judging. Actually, you can probably see it in the background, that little badge there. That's what I wore on the television show with Ronan Keating. And I filmed 9 film clips, and my husband and I record for TV and film now. That's kind of that's his main job, and that's my side thing. And I got to the point last year where I was like, personal development is all I talk about. And I knew one day I wanted to share my stories and really help people understand that no matter where you're at, you can make those changes. Because I felt very lazy. And like I said, ADHD, that makes us, we're frozen half of the time because our executive function just does not work. So I was always frozen. And if I can do this, then I really believe anybody can. So last year, I got to the point where actually I had my music school concert, and so many parents come up to me and they said, we don't see teachers just treat students the way that you do. Like, some of those students, would run off stage in the concert, and I would not care about the audience. It was always about, the child. And they said, that's the stuff that makes a difference. And I had a couple of parents crying, telling me that, and something just clicked in me. And I went on to try to continue to be a music career coach. And I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, this calling or my mission to help people and just show people and talk about the stuff that I've learned. I've spent probably $100,000 in education, countless hours. I've literally documented every book that I've read, every process that has worked. Now, you do not have to do that to make those changes. That's not where I started out. It's actually it's a lot more simple than that. And it happens over time. But I wanted to know why my brain worked the way it did, why the past traumas, why their brains work the way they did. And from there I just am where I am at now and want to share what I've learnt. That's a long story, and that's the short version.
I can only imagine. Very well done. First of all, let me congratulate you for, finally building your dream home and becoming a owner. That's amazing.
A huge thing for us. Thank you. I'm so
It
excited.
is. It's not just about, owning a home and, having the wealth and stuff. It's just to feeling that this is yours. This is to put the tangible things on your effort. Okay.
Yeah.
And money itself in the bank is not that much tangible.
No. And it's knowing that rock bottom moment, that was one of my main thoughts. for me to go from there to having something like that, it definitely shows me that, you know, you've come from here to here.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of us live in that gap where we're always looking forward and not back where we come from. We're trying to look forward to where we're going. Sometimes we just need to stop and go, hang on, how about instead of looking to where you want to go and never matching up and feeling bad about that, let's look at where you've come from.
Yes.
So when you do that, you feel a lot better.
Exactly. I love your story because you, as a music coach, you've already built a very successful music school. You're already helping others to follow their dream of becoming, you know, singing or, you know, writing songs and record. So, which is amazing. So you already done what you love to do, but now you gave yourself permission to say, okay, what is next? And now you are doing the next calling that is for you. So it's because so many people, not actually people are not that many people who are lucky to love what they're doing. So that itself is usually doesn't happen.
Yep.
But for those who are already doing that, but we know, because I've been there, I know exactly what you are trying to teach others, that but you've been doing this for so long and you loved it, but now why you don't have any more passion for it? Why it doesn't really, you know, just give you the
light me up.
Light me up anymore.
Yeah.
And even I felt the same way that, oh my God, I mean, what happened to me? But yeah, that's why we need to learn our passion. Sometimes passion will find us.
Yes.
So that's why even if we have a successful life and enjoying what we do, if at all we feel, I'm just talking to our beautiful listener, in case you feel, oh, why suddenly I don't have the just to do what I used to do and I used to love to do. So now it is your next calling there. And that's why Kristy is here to teach you and help you to get to that level, to bridge that gap. It's amazing. I love that. I wish I knew you 8 years ago, because I moved from, because I used to live in Sydney, then we moved to Melbourne, and then 8 years ago, we moved from Melbourne to Perth. And when I moved to Perth, I just didn't want to do what I was doing, even though it was very successful. I was a financial advisor and finance broker. And even though it was great, I loved it, but it just didn't rock my bottom.
Didn't fulfill you.
And I just felt so like a, you know, imposter that I'm with a client. They are, you know, praising me for my knowledge and I help them, which obviously I still delivered because that is definitely was a commitment, but I wasn't getting the joy. Because you know, things that we do is not just about for the exchange of money. Money is comes secondary. It's first we do it because that makes us happy to do it. But it wasn't making me happy anymore.
And I think that's really where I struggled, because, and you might be able to relate, but because music is all I've done, like literally radio competitions when I was 6, like because music and singing was all I've done, it was almost like music was my identity and I didn't know myself beyond that. So for me to give myself permission to do something else, I had to say to myself, oh, that's not who you are anymore. So when I cut back on music, it was like I was losing my identity. So for me, I had to go from something that I just had done so much that I thought it was me, and to sit back and actually go, okay, like you had all of these visions, these goals within music, and to realize that that is no longer where you want to be. That's probably one of the hardest realizations I've had. It was almost like losing a part of me, you know? So there can always be that as well. So it's like, yes, I don't feel the passion anymore, but I feel like this is what I'm meant to be doing. But is it really? So again, it's about having that that confidence to go, I'm going to go where I want to go. And so many people, I hear it all of the time. I heard it within the music career coaching all the time. It was always, but I have a family. I have commitments. I need to stay in my 9-to-5 job. Well, yes, you have a family and you have commitments, but that last part isn't necessarily true, because once you have a vision, once you have dreams, if you put that into actionable steps into goals, you don't have to do it overnight. You can be out of that 9 to 5 within 2 years. That might seem like a long time, but let me tell you what's longer. If you don't start that plan, forever is longer. So it's really about, showing people that you can change your life. It doesn't have to be straight away, but you can make that plan to slowly shift. If that's the way it has to be for you. You can always make it work, is what I'm saying.
Okay, wonderful. So what is the first step for you? Let's say, because I can now hear that people who are watching, they say, okay, I'm there. So now where can I start?
So for me, the first step, and I was just talking to my husband about this, because sometimes I believe the first step can be different for everybody. But I think the most helpful step to look at is becoming self-aware and just taking a moment out to, even if it's just half a day, whatever you can do, go to a cafe and then think about what you want, write it all down, write everything down that you think is stopping you, and then process those feelings. And then my biggest thing is to go, okay, let's future pace to our deathbed and go, if you're looking back from your deathbed right now, what are you going to say to yourself for staying in a job that you don't love when you had the opportunity to just sit down for a day, figure out what you want, and then start planning? So for me, it's about taking out that time to figure out what you want. And then from there, just sitting with that for a bit, visualizing that future that you want. So visualizing, that's really important. Just getting those feelings, like how would you feel if you're in that new position? Because once you start conjuring up those feelings, that will give you the motivation to start planning and going, okay, well, how can I make this work? And then you take another day out or a half a day at a cafe and you sit down and you go, all right, how can I do this? How can I make it work? And like I said, it could be slow. It could be if you're in a 9 to 5 job doing something that you completely hate, but you want to record, for instance, which is a scenario I got all of the time. How can you start doing that? Yeah, it's not going to replace your income straight away. I apologize. Somebody's whippersnippering around here. It's not going to happen straight away. You're right. But could you be playing music on the side, doing some gigs here and there? Could you be starting your social media, building your profile so that people will go to your gigs? Could you, start building that brand, start writing those songs? Whatever you do, make sure you're doing something. Action. So So there's 2 steps there. First step, cafe, self-awareness, write out what you want. I have to go back and clarify. I talk too much. Write out what you want. Sit with that so you can have an idea for, a week or 2. Visualize it. Feel those feelings. Go, how would that feel? Then go back to that cafe or at home, wherever you can manage an hour or 2, and just start getting some action steps together and planning.
Absolutely.
They're my 2 things that I would do.
Absolutely. It's just always taking the first step. I believe for a lot of people that is the hardest one, but I know our listeners, if they are listening and watching until now, I know they are already action takers. So you are already there. So all you need to do is just now do it the way that Kristy is like to show you. And obviously get in touch with Kristy, because then she can help you as a coach. Because coach, we are just like a guidance, okay, like a GPS. We just help you to navigate on the road you want to take. That's all it is. And because we already done the work. So obviously Kristy has already done the work. So she knows what emotional, blockers you're going to get, what other things that, chatters in your mind comes in and may stop you from taking the next step. So the worst thing is we go through this road, but then we'll stop and then come back to live a life half lived. And that's the worst thing to do.
And that's falling back to old patterns and old behaviors. And that can be down to fear, down to
Yeah.
many things. And again, self-awareness, if you are writing these things down and going, okay, what am I feeling here? Fear.
Yeah.
All right, why am I feeling that? Because I'm worried about what my wife might think if I leave my job. You know,
Yes.
I'm worried about not having money for my children. All great, like very valid concerns. So it's about going, okay, well, how can I slow down the process, do this slowly, and make sure that everybody's looked after? I wish I had have known that 8 years ago. I did that process this time around, but yeah, 8 years ago, it's just like, if you're struggling, you just got to take action.
Yeah, nice, great.
But if you can do it this way, it's a little easier.
Appreciate that for sure. So how our listeners can get in touch with you, Kristy?
Yeah. So I have a podcast. It's called The Self-Improvement Room, which is a true room I'm building in my new home. So it's called the Self-Improvement Room, and that's on all podcast platforms. Otherwise, thekristydavis.com. We cannot get just Kristy Davis. So thekristydavis.com. And social media is also, the handles are all the Kristy Davis. And if you want to reach out personally, if you've got any questions or coaching, that email is Kristy@thekristydavis, and it's KRISTY.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Anyway, you guys don't need to make notes now or anything. So because we put all these details in the caption, so please make sure so you'll get it right. And in case you've got any question, you can even reach us if let's say you couldn't get hold of her. But please contact Kristy to change your life the way you want it to be changed. And and please make sure you will like this video and share it with others. I'm sorry, there is so much noise here because my doggy is just desperately wants to get into the room. I apologize to our listeners for that noise, but yeah, that's what it does. This is how you can share and spread the good words, because we are here to help the humanity. So, and it's only a start from us, each of us first, before we expect it to, manifest it everywhere. So please share this video with those who really need that. And so this was the best way that you find out how Kristy can help you take the next step. So until next episode, have a happy, healthy, wealthy life. And thanks again, Kristy, for coming to my show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.